You know that feeling. You open the fridge and something quietly nags at you. A half sandwich from yesterday, a soft tomato rolling in the corner, a plastic container you swore you'd eat but never did. It's not just the food that's gone bad, it's the quiet guilt that follows. Because deep down, it's never about wasting food, is it? It's about feeling like we've lost a little control. Like the kitchen, once a place of pride, has started to reflect the clutter we never meant to collect. If this sounds familiar, pause right now and hit that hype button. Every hype helps more seniors rediscover that living simpler isn't about giving up, it's about gaining back peace of mind. You get 3 free hypes every week. Use one to help this message reach someone who needs it today. The truth is, waste doesn't just happen in the fridge. It happens when we buy like we're still feeding a family of 5, when we cook like the kids are still visiting every Sunday. But life changes, and our meals can change with it. The good news. You don't need fancy meal kits, complicated recipes, or endless leftovers. What you need is a rhythm, one that matches your pace, your budget, and your appetite. Imagine opening your fridge and seeing exactly what you'll eat today. Nothing extra, nothing wasted. Imagine meals that take 5 minutes, nourish your body, and still leave your kitchen spotless. That's what this video is about. Because at this stage of life, simplicity isn't about doing less, it's about living lighter, clearer, and freer. So if you've ever stared at a fridge full of food and thought, I should have eaten that yesterday, stay with me. By the end of this video, you'll see how small shifts, just one meal at a time, can bring back balance to your kitchen and calm to your day. Meet Evelyn Brooks, 67, a retired nurse from a peaceful town in Ohio. For most of her life, Evelyn's hands were busy caring for others, checking pulses, preparing medications, packing lunches, and serving dinners to a house that once overflowed with family. She spent decades feeding everyone but herself. When retirement came and the kids moved away, the kitchen that once symbolized warmth turned into a quiet place of reminders. Half-used groceries, forgotten leftovers, and recipes meant for 4 instead of 1. Every Sunday, she walked through the grocery store with good intentions, filling her cart with produce she swore she'd use. But as the week passed, the lettuce wilted, the berries spoiled, and by Friday, she'd open the fridge and sigh. It's just me, she'd whisper, closing the door again. The guilt wasn't about the money wasted, it was about losing the rhythm of caring, the purpose behind the meal. Evelyn realized something quietly painful. She had never learned to cook just for herself. The same woman who once managed hospital chaos couldn't manage her own fridge. Until one morning, while throwing out another bowl of uneaten soup, she decided she'd had enough. She wanted control again, not through dieting or deprivation, but through simplicity. That's when she began experimenting with minimalist meal plans. Meals that didn't demand too much, waste too much, or overwhelm her. Over time, she discovered 7 easy, zero-waste meal routines that worked perfectly for one person. Meals that felt nourishing, not lonely. Meals that respected both her budget and her energy. Now, cooking isn't a burden, it's a small act of freedom. Every ingredient has purpose. Every meal leaves her calm, not guilty. Each meal she made after that wasn't just food, it was freedom. Meal Plan 1. Morning Glow Bowl. Evelyn had always treated breakfast like an afterthought. Decades of nursing shifts had trained her to rely on coffee, toast, or whatever was quickest, leaving her mornings feeling heavy and unfocused. Even after retirement, the habit persisted. She would wake up, shuffle to the kitchen, and stare at the fridge filled with ingredients she rarely touched. One morning, as sunlight spilled across her counter, she noticed 3 simple items: a small bag of oats, a jar of peanut butter, and a ripe banana. Normally, she might have ignored them, convinced a single serving wouldn't be satisfying. But that day, Evelyn decided to try something different, a meal just for herself, prepared with care and intention. She called it her Morning Glow Bowl. A scoop of oats simmered in water or milk, a spoonful of peanut butter swirled in for richness, and slices of banana laid gently on top. The preparation took less than 5 minutes, required no complex techniques, and left no leftover mess to worry about. It wasn't extravagant, yet it offered something far more valuable than flavor alone, a sense of presence, a quiet ritual that allowed her to begin the day fully aware of herself and her needs. As she took her first spoonful, warmth spread through her chest, reminding her of simpler mornings from years past, when her kitchen had been full of chatter, clinking utensils, and laughter. Now, the quiet didn't feel lonely, it felt deliberate and comforting. The beauty of this bowl lies not just in its simplicity but in its mindfulness. Seniors often believe cooking for one is burdensome or pointless, but the Morning Glow bowl challenges that assumption. Oats are affordable, shelf-stable, and versatile. Peanut butter provides protein and healthy fats that last for weeks. Bananas can be eaten fresh or frozen for later use. Each ingredient has purpose, leaving nothing to waste and providing a nourishing start that fuels both body and mind. Evelyn found that these small, thoughtful choices rippled into the rest of her day. She felt lighter, more energized, and more in control of her meals. Beyond the practicality, it became an emotional anchor. Mornings that once began with fatigue and guilt now began with warmth and calm. Preparing and eating the bowl reminded her that self-care doesn't require extravagance, only intention. Over time, Evelyn noticed subtle shifts. She woke earlier, felt steadier, and even found joy in walking around her neighborhood before the day fully began. The Morning Glow bowl had become more than breakfast. It was a simple act of self-respect, a declaration that her time, energy, and nourishment mattered. For Evelyn, mornings felt lighter, like she was finally eating for herself, not for a schedule. What's your go-to easy breakfast? Tell us below. Your idea might inspire another senior to reclaim peace and energy in their mornings. Meal Plan 2: Fresh Garden Omelette. After discovering the calm of her Morning Glow bowl, Evelyn began thinking differently about her meals. She realized that preparing food for one didn't need to feel lonely or wasteful. One sunny morning, she decided to try something slightly more adventurous, yet still simple and nourishing: a fresh garden omelette. She gathered a single egg, a handful of fresh spinach from her small kitchen garden, a ripe tomato, and a light sprinkle of cheese. The ingredients were modest, but to Evelyn, they represented a shift, a commitment to cooking with intention rather than excess. Cracking the egg into a small bowl, she whisked it slowly, noticing the golden liquid swirl. She sautéed the spinach gently, letting its green color deepen and release a subtle aroma. The tomato, sliced thin, added a pop of color and freshness that reminded her of summer farmers markets she used to stroll through with her late husband. Sprinkling a touch of cheese on top, she folded the omelette carefully, appreciating the simplicity of each step. No timers, no complicated pans, just Evelyn and her food. What made the fresh garden omelette particularly effective was its balance and efficiency. Eggs provide high-quality protein that helps maintain muscle mass and satiety, while spinach offers vitamins and minerals that support heart and bone health, essential for seniors over 60. The tomato adds antioxidants, and the light cheese contributes flavor without overloading sodium or fat. More importantly, this meal ensured nothing in her kitchen went unused or spoiled. Cooking small portions allowed her to enjoy fresh ingredients without worrying about waste. Each omelette used exactly what she needed, creating a rhythm that matched her life. Emotionally, the act of cooking one omelette shifted her perspective. She realized that preparing a smaller meal didn't diminish care or satisfaction. It enhanced mindfulness. The quiet moments of chopping, whisking, and flipping became meditative. She could focus on texture, aroma, and flavor, savoring the experience rather than rushing through it. The fresh garden omelette was a reminder that care doesn't always mean quantity, that sometimes the gentlest, simplest approach yields the greatest satisfaction. By the time she sat at her table with the omelette on a bright plate, Evelyn felt a sense of accomplishment. She had nourished her body, respected her ingredients, and engaged her senses. The meal also reminded her that small changes could produce real, tangible benefits in her daily life. She noticed she felt lighter, more focused, and even energized enough to take a short walk afterward, appreciating the sunlight and quiet neighborhood sounds. Cooking small reminded her that care doesn't always mean quantity. And as she finished the last bite, she smiled, thinking ahead. The next meal plan would be even more transformative, helping her save money and rethink how she approached leftovers, a lesson she never expected but would welcome wholeheartedly. Meal Plan 3: Golden Chicken Wrap. After embracing the simplicity of the fresh garden omelette, Evelyn began noticing a new pattern in her kitchen. She had leftover grilled chicken from a dinner the night before, and instead of letting it sit forgotten in the fridge, she saw an opportunity. She realized that one of the easiest ways to save money, reduce waste, and still enjoy fresh meals was to transform yesterday's dinner into today's lunch. That's how she created her golden chicken wrap, a simple, satisfying meal that felt intentional and resourceful. Evelyn laid out her ingredients: tender slices of leftover grilled chicken, crisp green lettuce, a drizzle of olive oil, and a whole wheat wrap to hold it all together. She remembered how, in the past, leftovers had intimidated her. She often thought, eating yesterday's food feels like settling, and she would either throw it out or overcompensate by cooking something new. But with the wrap, she discovered a new perspective. Leftovers weren't a compromise, they were a canvas. Every ingredient had purpose, and every bite reminded her that careful planning and creativity could turn simplicity into enjoyment. The wrap itself was quick to assemble. Evelyn layered the chicken over the lettuce, lightly drizzled olive oil to enhance flavor without extra calories, and wrapped it tightly. It was portable, visually appealing, and balanced. Protein from the chicken, fiber and crunch from the lettuce, and wholesome carbs from the whole wheat wrap. Nutritionally, it supported her energy levels throughout the day, kept her full without feeling heavy, and reinforced a sustainable approach to eating that respected both her body and the environment. Emotionally, this small act changed her relationship with food. She no longer saw leftovers as a burden or a sign of waste. She saw them as opportunity. Each wrap was a reminder that care and creativity could coexist with practicality. By taking a moment to thoughtfully reuse ingredients, she felt empowered rather than guilty, resourceful rather than constrained. It was a subtle shift, but a meaningful one, a way to honor her past meals while embracing the present. Over time, Evelyn found that the golden chicken wrap became a staple in her weekly routine. She experimented with small variations, adding a few slices of avocado, a sprinkle of herbs, or a touch of mustard. Each modification kept the meal interesting without introducing waste or complexity. She also noticed a reduction in her weekly grocery spending, a win that reinforced how small adjustments could ripple into financial and emotional benefits. She didn't see leftovers anymore, she saw opportunity. What's your favorite way to reuse food safely? Share your tips below. Your approach might inspire another senior to rethink leftovers as a chance to create something fresh, simple, and nourishing. Meal Plan 4: Comfort Stew Cup. After weeks of experimenting with smaller, intentional meals, Evelyn discovered a new challenge: how to enjoy warmth, flavor, and heartiness without creating excess or clutter in her kitchen. That's when she developed the Comfort Stew Cup, a simple, nourishing meal built around lentils, carrots, onions, and low-sodium broth. It was soft, easy to digest, and versatile, and it could safely last for 2 meals, making it perfect for her routine. Unlike previous meals, this one brought a sense of tradition and home, something that felt both familiar and comforting. Evelyn began by rinsing a half cup of lentils, appreciating their earthy scent as they tumbled into the pot. She chopped a few carrots into small rounds, sliced onions thinly, and sautéed them lightly to release their natural sweetness. Pouring in low-sodium broth, she let the mixture simmer slowly. The aroma began to fill her apartment, evoking memories of cozy Sunday dinners she had prepared decades ago. There was no rush, no complicated timing, just the quiet rhythm of a meal unfolding naturally. As the stew thickened, she stirred gently, noticing how simple ingredients transformed into something nourishing and satisfying. The meal worked perfectly for her lifestyle. Lentils provided protein and fiber without heaviness, carrots offered vitamins that supported her energy and vision, and onions added flavor and nutrients without extra calories. The low-sodium broth kept it heart-healthy, which was important for maintaining her blood pressure and overall wellness. Best of all, the Comfort Stew Cup could be divided easily into 2 portions, lunch and dinner, ensuring that nothing went to waste, and that she never felt pressure to cook more than necessary. This efficiency made her feel in control and calm, rather than rushed or overwhelmed. Emotionally, preparing the stew was transformative. For Evelyn, her kitchen smelled like home again, without the clutter or guilt that had previously haunted her. Each simmering cup reminded her that cooking could be a gentle act of self-care. She could nourish herself fully, savoring each bite, while also keeping her space tidy and her mind at ease. The comfort stew cup became a ritual, a moment of pause and connection with herself, and a reassurance that meals for one could be both satisfying and mindful. Even as she enjoyed this newfound rhythm, Evelyn sensed that her journey wasn't over. The comfort stew cup brought stability and warmth, but she felt a spark of curiosity, wondering what simple, zero-waste meal could bring the next surprise. Her kitchen smelled like home again, without the clutter or guilt. And just when she thought she'd simplified enough, one meal changed her whole rhythm, teaching her that the smallest tweaks could bring the biggest comfort and efficiency to her daily routine. Meal Plan 5. Fridge Reset Plate. After weeks of discovering the joy and ease of small, intentional meals, Evelyn realized there was one part of her routine she had often overlooked: the fridge itself. Even with careful planning, perishables would pile up, and a sense of unease would grow in the back of her mind. That's when she developed the Fridge Reset Plate, a simple, mindful way to use up ingredients before they spoiled, while creating a meal that was fresh, balanced, and calming. The plate consisted of a boiled egg, crisp cucumber slices, and sweet apple wedges. On the surface, it looked unremarkable, but to Evelyn, it became a symbol of order, clarity, and self-care. Each week, she would begin by scanning her fridge. The last egg in the carton, a cucumber starting to soften at the edges, and an apple that had ripened too quickly would become the centerpiece of her plate. She boiled the egg just right, firm yet tender, sliced the cucumber into thin, crunchy rounds, and cut the apple into bite-sized pieces. The colors alone were soothing: the bright green of the cucumber, the golden yolk of the egg, and the ruby-red apple. As she arranged them neatly on her plate, she felt a small but profound sense of accomplishment. It was more than food, it was order restored. The Fridge Reset Plate worked because it prevented waste while providing a complete, easy-to-digest meal. The egg offered protein to sustain energy, the cucumber contributed hydration and fiber, and the apple added natural sweetness along with vitamins. By intentionally clearing out perishables, Evelyn reduced clutter in the fridge, minimized the risk of spoilage, and kept her kitchen environment calm and inviting. This simple ritual reminded her that small, deliberate actions could bring lasting benefits, both practical and emotional. Emotionally, the plate became a quiet meditation. In the act of assembling and eating it, Evelyn felt the calm she had been chasing for years. The anxiety of neglected ingredients disappeared, replaced by satisfaction and clarity. She realized that caring for herself didn't have to be complicated or time-consuming. It could be achieved through mindful choices and thoughtful preparation. Each bite was a reminder that simplicity can be restorative and that taking small steps to respect food and her own well-being brought a sense of peace she hadn't felt in decades. A plate that looked simple, but gave her the calm she'd been chasing for years. The Fridge Reset Plate soon became a cornerstone of Evelyn's weekly routine. By incorporating it, she maintained a clutter-free fridge, avoided unnecessary grocery waste, and felt more in control of her meals. It was a small, yet transformative habit, one that turned ordinary ingredients into a meaningful ritual of nourishment, clarity, and mindfulness, helping her create balance in both her kitchen and her life. Meal Plan 6. Savory Oat Lunch Bowl. Evelyn had long associated oats with breakfast, but as she continued her journey toward mindful, zero-waste meals, she discovered a surprising new possibility. Oats could be the base for a savory, satisfying lunch. One afternoon, she opened her fridge to find leftover roasted vegetables from the night before, a few pieces of bell pepper, zucchini, and mushrooms. Rather than letting them sit and eventually spoil, she decided to experiment, combining them with cooked oats and a drizzle of olive oil to create her savory oat lunch bowl. It was a simple idea, but the effect was transformative, reminding her that minimalism didn't have to be repetitive or bland, it could be creative and full of flavor. She began by reheating her cooked oats in a small pot, allowing the grains to absorb warmth and texture. While they steamed, she tossed the leftover vegetables lightly in olive oil, just enough to enhance their natural flavors. Layering the vegetables over the oats, she drizzled a touch more olive oil and sprinkled a pinch of herbs she kept on hand for flavor. The result was visually appealing. The vibrant colors of the roasted vegetables against the soft, neutral oats created a plate that felt intentional and thoughtfully composed. For Evelyn, This small creative act brought an unexpected sense of pride. It wasn't just a meal, it was an experiment that turned leftovers into something entirely new. From a practical perspective, the Savory oat lunch bowl addressed several challenges seniors often face. It was nourishing, providing fiber, vitamins, and protein depending on the vegetable mix. It minimized waste, repurposing ingredients that might otherwise go unused. And it was easy to prepare, no long recipes, no complex cooking techniques, just thoughtful assembly. Evelyn appreciated that she could vary the flavors week by week, using different vegetables, herbs, or even a sprinkle of cheese if she felt indulgent. This flexibility meant her meals stayed interesting without requiring unnecessary shopping or producing extra waste. Emotionally, this meal became a symbol of creative empowerment. For so long, Evelyn had associated cooking for one with monotony and limitation. The Savory oat lunch bowl proved that simplicity could be inventive, satisfying, and entirely her own. She found herself enjoying the textures and flavors more consciously, savoring each bite and appreciating the gentle rhythm of preparing food with care. It reminded her that minimal effort could still yield something beautiful, both visually and nutritionally, and that her own choices could turn ordinary ingredients into moments of joy. She realized simplicity could be creative, not boring. Would you ever try oats for lunch? Let us know below. Your ideas might inspire another senior to reimagine ingredients in a fresh, nourishing way while keeping meals mindful, easy, and zero waste. Meal Plan 7. Evening Balance Plate. As Evelyn's week of mindful meals progressed, she realized that dinner often posed the greatest challenge. After a long day, preparing a meal for one could feel burdensome, and she frequently fell into the trap of ordering convenience foods or eating too late. That's when she created the Evening Balance Plate, a simple, satisfying dinner designed to be nutritious, easy to digest, and zero waste. Using brown rice, canned tuna, and peas, Evelyn found a combination that was both practical and calming, allowing her to end the day with intention and care. She started by cooking a modest portion of brown rice, letting its nutty aroma fill her kitchen. The grains were soft yet firm, providing a comforting base that paired effortlessly with the protein and vegetables. While the rice simmered, she opened a can of tuna, rinsed it lightly to reduce sodium, and flaked it gently into a small bowl. Frozen peas, which thawed quickly in the pan, added color, sweetness, and fiber, creating a balanced plate that was visually appealing and nutritionally complete. The process was straightforward: no fuss, no excessive cleanup, no stress about overbuying ingredients that might spoil before she could use them. The beauty of the Evening Balance Plate was in its simplicity. Brown rice supplied complex carbohydrates for sustained energy and gentle digestion. Canned tuna provided lean protein and essential omega-3 fatty acids to support heart and brain health, and peas contributed vitamins, minerals, and fiber, rounding out a meal that felt thoughtful without feeling elaborate. Seniors often struggle with portion control or nutrient balance when cooking for one, but this plate solved both challenges. It was perfectly portioned, shelf-stable, and forgiving, flexible enough to adjust the quantity or mix in herbs, spices, or a drizzle of olive oil to suit personal taste. Emotionally, this meal transformed Evelyn's approach to dinner. Where she had once seen it as a chore or a reminder of solitude, the Evening Balance Plate became a moment of self-respect and mindfulness. She sat at her small kitchen table, savoring the warmth and textures, reflecting on the day, and feeling a subtle but profound sense of accomplishment. Each component had purpose. Each bite nourished not just her body but her confidence in her ability to manage meals independently. It reminded her that caring for oneself didn't have to be complicated or time-consuming. Even the simplest plate could bring satisfaction, calm, and a sense of order to the day. Dinner stopped feeling like a chore. It became a quiet act of self-care. By integrating the Evening Balance Plate into her weekly routine, Evelyn discovered a new rhythm, a predictable, nourishing, and stress-free conclusion to her day. It showed her that minimalism in the kitchen isn't about restriction. It's about thoughtful, intentional choices that create balance, reduce waste, and foster a deeper sense of peace and self-care. Evelyn's kitchen had transformed over the past few weeks, and with it, her approach to daily life. Where once her fridge overflowed with forgotten ingredients, mismatched containers, and a gnawing sense of guilt, it now told a different story. orderly shelves, smaller portions, and meals that were intentional, nourishing, and mindful. Each item had a purpose. Each meal reflected her pace, her energy, and her choices. The shift wasn't just about reducing waste, it was about reclaiming control, feeling lighter in body and mind, and discovering joy in the simple act of preparing food for herself. The clarity in her fridge mirrored clarity in her life, reminding her that minimalism isn't about scarcity, it's about thoughtful abundance. Evelyn reflected on her journey from chaos to calm. She remembered the days of tossing half-eaten leftovers, feeling rushed and overwhelmed. Now, she approached her kitchen with curiosity and creativity. She planned meals that were fresh, balanced, and satisfying, turning what used to feel like chores into small, empowering rituals. Even minor adjustments, cooking just the right amount, repurposing ingredients, or combining flavors in new ways, carried meaning. Every meal became an exercise in care, a demonstration that simplicity could coexist with flavor, nutrition, and emotional satisfaction. The act of mindful cooking had become a form of self-respect, one that nurtured both her body and her spirit. Her story illustrates a powerful lesson for all seniors. Living intentionally is more fulfilling than living in excess or waste. It's not about perfectly measuring every ingredient or strictly limiting oneself. It's about making conscious choices that honor both food and the self. By treating meals as small, meaningful rituals, Evelyn found a sense of peace she hadn't anticipated. The emotional impact was profound. She felt grounded, capable, and proud of the daily decisions that reinforced her independence and well-being. Her kitchen, once a source of stress, had become a sanctuary of calm, creativity, and nourishment. It wasn't about wasting less, it was about living more intentionally. And now, it's your turn. Before you go, here's how to hype this video and support this channel. You get 3 free hypes a week, and each one helps this message reach seniors who could benefit from these simple, mindful strategies. Every hype is a way to amplify wisdom, reduce waste, and encourage others to rethink how they approach food, cooking, and care for themselves. Tap hype, hit like, and share this with someone who still cooks for a crowd of one. Every small action, sharing, hypes, comments, contributes to a community of seniors discovering that minimalism, zero-waste cooking, and thoughtful meal planning can bring freedom, clarity, and joy. Just as Evelyn reclaimed her kitchen and her confidence, you too can turn everyday meals into moments of empowerment, transforming routine into ritual and waste into wisdom. The journey is simple, intentional, and yours to begin today.